I didn't really feel like rhyming on every track, and actually nobody wanted me to anyway. From the hip-hop industry, it was like, shut the f*** up! So I said, all right, I'll sing this time.
PM Dawn, featuring brothers Prince B and DJ Minutemix, Jersey City, New Jersey, active since 1988. In the early 1990s, PM Dawn emerged as one of the most unusual duos in hip-hop. Brothers Atrell Prince B Cortez and Jared DJ Minutemix Cortez broke through with a sound that was gentle, spiritual, and melodic, standing in direct contrast to the hard edge rap that dominated the era. Their debut album, Of the Heart, Of the Soul, and Of the Cross, The Utopian Experience, arrived in 1991 and immediately set them apart. Anchored by the dreamy single Set Adrift on Memory Bliss, which sampled Spandau Ballet's True, the song made history as the first rap track to reach #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 under the SoundScan system. The success pushed the album to gold status and turned two Jersey City brothers into unlikely stars. Their follow-up, the Bliss Album in 1993, repeated the formula with another gold certification, with singles like Looking Through Patient Eyes and I Die Without You. At that point, PM Dawn looked like they had carved out a permanent lane. They proved rap could be introspective, philosophical, and pop-friendly without losing their identity, and for a brief moment, their ethereal sound seemed to represent where hip-hop could go next. But the mid-90s shifted the soundscape almost overnight. Hip-hop was reshaped by grittier movements, Wu-Tang Clan's rugged street narratives, Death Row's gangsta dominance, and Bad Boy's glossy, larger-than-life personas. In comparison, PM Dawn's dreamy delivery started to feel out of place. Their 1995 release, Jesus Wept, drew solid reviews, but fell short commercially, with its lead single, Downtown Venus, falling short of becoming a hit. Meanwhile, the duo's credibility within hip-hop circles had already taken a hit after a notorious 1992 incident on MTV when KRS-One and Boogie Down Productions physically interrupted their performance and pushed them off stage to perform his own track. Combined with lawsuits over uncleared samples, the group's reputation was shaky at best. By the end of the decade, PM Dawn's innovative spark was no longer driving the culture. Their uniqueness had opened doors, but the audience moved in a different direction, leaving the brothers behind. What began as a visionary story of two outsiders rewriting what hip-hop could sound like quickly shifted into one of promise unfulfilled as the group faded from center stage before their potential could be realized, then had their identity stolen in the process. What happened? Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC Stunt Growth Music. Let's get it. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. PM Dawn was formed in Jersey City, New Jersey by brothers Atrell Prince B Cortez, the vocalist and songwriter, and Jared DJ Minutemix Cortez, who handled production and DJ duties. The two came from a musical family and began experimenting with blending hip-hop, R&B, and pop influences in the late 1980s, at a time when rap was still carving out its own identity. After building demos and shopping them around, they landed a deal with G Street Records, which partnered with Island Records to release their debut album in 1991. Of the Heart, Of the Soul, and Of the Cross, The Utopian Experience went gold, powered by the #1 single Set Adrift on Memory Bliss. Their 1993 follow-up, the Bliss Album, also reached gold status and produced its own hits, cementing them as crossover innovators. Entering 1995, PM Dawn carried real momentum and were viewed as a unique voice in hip-hop. Stunt #1, A Sound Too Different. From the start, PM Dawn's music was almost the antithesis of what hip-hop was becoming in the early 90s. While rap was leaning harder into rugged street storytelling and aggressive delivery, Prince B rapped in a hushed, melodic tone, often blending spoken word and sung verses. Their songs featured lush samples from artists like Spandau Ballet and George Michael, wrapped in dreamlike production that felt closer to pop and R&B than the booming beats of East Coast hardcore hip-hop. It was refreshing for some listeners and groundbreaking in its vision, but for hip-hop purists, it was hard to accept. The turning point came in 1992 with a notorious MTV incident that made clear how fragile their credibility was within the rap community. After Prince B criticized KRS-One in an interview, Boogie Down Productions interrupted a PM Dawn performance, literally throwing the group off stage and performing their own song instead. To many fans, it was a symbolic moment that confirmed the group didn't belong in the same space as hip-hop's most respected voices. That credibility gap created a barrier they would never fully overcome. Even as they scored hits like Looking Through Patient Eyes and I Die Without You, critics and peers often dismissed them as soft or not real rap. Their intellectual, spiritual approach wasn't aggressive enough for the streets, nor was it flashy enough to compete with the emerging hip-hop moguls of the mid-90s. In trying to redefine what rap could be, PM Dawn ended up alienating themselves from both the underground community and mainstream hip-hop tastemakers. For a group trying to balance innovation with acceptance, being too different became a growth stunt. Their originality won them fans, but it also ensured they would always be outsiders in a genre demanding authenticity on its own terms.
It wasn't like I was dissing KRS-One. I was doing the same thing KRS says, just to question everything.
The beef does not continue. It's done with.
Stunt number 2, legal troubles and internal fractures. While PM Dawn's music was already battling credibility issues, behind the scenes the group faced challenges that weakened their foundation. In 1995, DJ Minutemix was arrested and charged in connection with an alleged sexual assault involving a relative. Though the charges were eventually dropped, the damage to the group's reputation was severe. At a time when hip-hop artists were being scrutinized more than ever, the incident cast a shadow over the duo and created a distraction that shifted attention away from the music. The fallout didn't just affect their public image, it fractured the group internally. Prince B had been the creative heart of PM Dawn, but he still relied heavily on his brother's production and partnership. With Minutemix entangled in controversy, their once united front began to break down. By the late 90s, he quietly exited the group, leaving Prince B to carry the name largely on his own. Adding to the turmoil were legal battles over sample clearances. PM Dawn's lush, sample-heavy production style was part of what made their music stand out, but it also left them vulnerable in an era when lawsuits for unauthorized use of music was becoming more common. These issues drained financial resources and complicated relationships with labels, reducing their ability to bounce back from stalled momentum. By the time their 1995 album Jesus Wept failed to make an impact, it wasn't just changing hip-hop taste holding them back. It was the weight of scandals, legal distractions, and a fractured partnership. Without the chemistry of the original duo, the magic that powered their first 2 albums was fading. PM Dawn's external troubles magnified their decline, cutting short what could have been a much longer run at the forefront of hip-hop innovation. Stunt number 3, losing control of the legacy. As the 2000s arrived, PM Dawn was already far removed from the mainstream spotlight, but the group's troubles didn't stop with fading sales and credibility. Prince B, the face and voice of the group, was dealt a devastating blow in 2005 when he suffered a major stroke caused by complications from diabetes. The stroke left him partially paralyzed and, coupled with additional health setbacks, made it nearly impossible for him to continue performing. Later, he would undergo a leg amputation due to the disease, further limiting his presence in music. With Prince B sidelined, PM Dawn lost its creative anchor. That same year, the group appeared on NBC's Hit Me Baby One More Time, a competition show where artists from the past performed their biggest hits. PM Dawn won their episode and donated the $20,000 prize to juvenile diabetes research, but behind the scenes, it was clear that Prince B's days as an active performer were ending. Soon after, cousin Greg Lewis Carr II, better known as Doc G, stepped in to carry the PM Dawn name. With Minutemix gone and Prince B incapacitated, Doc G assumed not only performance duties but also the ownership of PM Dawn's trademark. He re-recorded their classic hit Set Adrift on Memory Bliss, and for years, his version was the only one available on streaming platforms, creating frustration among fans who wanted the original. Though Doc G kept touring under the banner, many argued that the essence of PM Dawn had been lost without Prince B's presence. Instead of the legacy being preserved as a pioneering voice in hip-hop's evolution, it became diluted by confusion over who truly represented PM Dawn. For fans, the group's story became less about the brilliance of their first 2 albums and more about how quickly control of their legacy slipped away. All in all, PM Dawn's story is one of striking originality met with harsh realities. At their peak, they broke barriers by showing hip-hop could be soft, spiritual, and melodic, producing 2 gold albums and classic singles still remembered today. But the same sound that made them unique also kept them on the outside of a culture demanding toughness, and when the genre shifted, they were left behind. Legal issues, fractured partnerships, and Prince B's devastating health battles only deepened the decline, forcing the group to fade faster than expected. In the years that followed, Doc G's continuation of the name kept PM Dawn alive, but it never carried the same magic without its visionary leader. For many, their legacy remains frozen in those first 2 albums, a reminder of what happens when innovation isn't enough to withstand the pressures of credibility, controversy, and time. Salute, much respect, but for these reasons, their growth was stunning. It's your boy JC, Stunner Growth Music, and I'm out.